When thinking about a mid-range smartphone, we often think about the Snapdragon 400 and the Snapdragon 600 series. However, Qualcomm are not the only people to make mid-range processors. Today we're testing the Motorola One Vision with the Exynos 9609 and the Vivo S1 with the MediaTek Helio P65. So these alternatives to the Snapdragon, how well do they perform? Well, let's find out. Okay, we've got the Motorola One Vision on the left-hand side with the Exynos 9609, and we have the Vivo S1 with the MediaTek Helio P65 on the right-hand side. And as I was saying, that the S1 was the first into the blur test, and it's now also the first into the 2048 test. Now, the processors in these two devices are quite different. In the Exynos, we have 4 Cortex A73 cores and 4 Cortex A53 cores in a 4+4 setup, whereas the Helio P65 has got 2 Cortex A75 cores, so that's a newer generation than the A73, but then 6 Cortex A55 cores. So it's 4+4 versus 2+6. And I can see there a much better time there by the Motorola One Vision through that SQL light test. That means it now takes the lead as we go into that 3D cubes test. Now, as we get later on, we're going to see the 3D graphics test, the Unity test, and that's really, we're going to see the difference also in the GPUs. Now, the GPU in the Exynos is the G72, that's from Mali, ARM Mali, and the GPU in the MediaTek P65 is also the ARM Mali, but the G52. So the 72 is meant to be the bigger of the two GPUs, but of course they can configure them in different numbers of cores and different amounts of execution engines, and we're going to see which of these two processors is able to get through that 3D test better. As we are now into the 16 thread test, and this is coming up now, it looks like the Vivo S1 is going to win that, which I would expect is a bit unusual but they went neck and neck. They went neck and neck into that Unity test, and now we see the Vivo S1 is coming down to that first thing. But look at this, black screen there, black screen, there we go. What a long time it took there for and a stutter there. Absolutely amazing. That's really lost a lot of time there for the Motorola One Vision. Oh, it stuttered again there. Oh, it's really struggling at the beginning of this test here. Big black period there where it was just a black screen, and then that stuttering a couple of times there. Both of the devices now, however, seem to be finding their footing. No, I was saying that. And the Motorola One Vision stuttered again. Oh dear, this is not good for the Motorola. If it had any lead, if it was any way ahead, it surely lost that now because of that stuttering. Now, here in this Unity test, we can see it's very, very complicated graphics. There's lots of different things going on here, and it takes different amount of time for each of these devices to get through this test run, and depending on how long it takes, it tells us how well it was able to cope with that, including the frame rate. Now, as we come down here on the left hand side to the valley, we're swinging now to the right, but this really, as you can see, is very different to what we get in flagship devices. In flagship devices, this test would have been over a long time ago. So there is a difference when you pay for a flagship or when you pay for a mid-range device. There are differences in what you're going to get. Now, both devices have roughly the same screen resolution. However, the Vivo S1 does have an AMOLED display, which I think we can just about pick up here on this recording. However, don't confuse any poor or missing things in the recording to actually be a true reflection on the quality of the display. For example, on the left hand side here, we can see some artifacts, and that's just because of the recording. As I say that, both devices are now into the compression test. It's looking neck and neck at this point. 8, 9, 10, there it was. So first came in the Vivo S1 with 3 minutes and 13 seconds, then just a little bit behind it, the Motorola One Vision with 3 minutes and 16 seconds. So let's break down those scores and see what happened. So overall, the Vivo S1 with the Helio P65 came in first with 3 minutes and 13 seconds. And the Motorola One Vision came in with 3 minutes and 16 seconds. However, it did lose a lot of time at the beginning of that Unity test, but we'll get to that in a moment. Now, looking at the CPU times, 50.8 versus 50.6. Very, very interesting. So the Cortex A73 versus the Cortex A75, but there were 4 Cortex A73s compared to just 2 Cortex A75s, and the different combinations there, different generations, and a very, very close CPU time. When you get to the mixed result, the clear leader there was the Vivo S1 with 46.2 seconds compared to 48.5 seconds, so more than a 2-second gap there. And when we get down into the GPU, even though that Motorola did stutter at the beginning, it was 1 second behind the Vivo S1. My feeling is that if it didn't stutter, if that long boot up period there, however long it took for that to start up there, that long stutter period, it surely would have won. But at the end of the day, it didn't. At the end of the day, the Vivo S1 came in first. first by a clear 3 seconds. My name's Gary Sims, this is Speed Test G. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, don't forget we have a Twitter account, SpeedTest_G. Okay, that's it. I'll see you in the next one.